Very good afternoon to all of you. A very difficult session after lunch, no doubt, especially with comfortable chairs. Well, folks, the idea of this session is to give you an overview of what the smart factories are about. And before we get on to the presentation by Mr. Vineet Talwar, I would just like to give you a brief overview on certain experiences that we have had in implementation of some of these techniques. If you really look at, all of you know about what this fourth industrial revolution is. The Germans have very smartly marketed their Industry 4 very well. So practically, like in the earlier days, one would say instead of photocopying, they would say Xerox. Or for our motorcycles, they would say Hero Honda. So that brand they have developed quite well. But I think many countries are doing that. And a lot of them have really implemented this in a neat way. But currently, India is just in this nascent stage. But the point which I would like to make is, if you look at the conventional way that we have been working, logistics is going to be a very, very important factor in the entire supply chain. How we are able to get the goods right in time and how we are going to deliver the goods to the end customer is going to be a key success factor. Now, if you look at US, they have been slowly transferring their hardcore manufacturing. It's no longer viable for them to make it at the kind of wages and costs they have. And China is also facing similar problems. You'll find that after some time, India is also going to face similar problems. So nothing comes out cheap. People talk about cheap labor, so on and so forth, but I think the important part here is that in the global arena, we need to make, market and put products which are of a truly global quality. Chalta attitude will not work if you want to compete in the global market. We have also arrived quite a bit in this scenario. You see the best in the, I would say more about auto industry because I'm from that field. And the best in the world are here today. And the Indian companies are also competing with the best in class. So there are no boundaries really which are going to be there. And survival of the fittest is going to be the order of the day. So how does one really look at changes and curtailing and improving the costs? One of the very important factors which gets into the picture is productivity. So if you look at how we are going to improve the productivity, a lot of non-value added jobs or the conventional skills or the jobs are going to slowly vanish from the system. The way cassette recorder or CDs have today out of reckoning, the same thing is going to happen to, I don't know how the auto industry will evolve, how the oil industry will evolve. The way the e-vehicle is catching on fast and catching up very fast, it might see a different trend after another 5 years. And there are products which are coming through which are more expensive as on date, but when something comes into this kind of a field and mass manufacturing takes place, the costs are definitely going to come down. So let me give you an example on how these changes would bring about. If you see any conventional factory, you give a schedule on SAP to the ERP rather, to the vendors, they will supply schedule versus supply. You have sometimes milk runs, so on and so forth. Then you manufacture it, store it in the warehouse, it gets dispatched to the final customer. The end-to-end linkage today is a very strong possibility and we are doing it. So each dealer maintains his minimum stock level of how SKU-wise he would like to see the stocks are there. Secondly, as and how the retail keeps on taking place, he keeps on placing the order. Minimum the MOQ, minimum order quantity is attained, the triggering of dispatch starts. And the dispatch logistics also would be catering to really how efficiently the whole thing will be done, and it triggers the production. And once the production is triggered, it triggers the supply to the dealers. So in this entire process, there's going to be no stores, there's going to be no PPC. The material comes to directly the first point of consumption. So if you look at the non-value added activity which is taking place, is going to vanish. So people will have to reskill themselves. Recently, we also set up a global parts center, which is fully automated, web-based, and working on a similar principle. And believe me, it was a very tough task. Tough task because the processes need to be mapped very carefully. We need to understand precisely how to operate. And a combination of the person who's going to operate and the person who's going to provide the software, these things have to be simulated very carefully. Each and every step needs to be done, and you should see the process in its entirety. This is the only way things would do it. So one of the things my advice to you would be, take a small area, implement in the small area, see the success, and once you establish it thoroughly, go for a horizontal deployment. But such kind of things are going to be inevitable. At the end of the day, you will have to improve your productivity. Today, it's not the operator productivity which is going to be important, it's the staff productivity. So people sitting here, all of us would definitely like to get more wages, better things, better lifestyle. How is it going to come from? So it's going to come from when you do a greater value addition. So conventional, mundane things which you're doing may not be of that value tomorrow. So in the entire process, the reskilling is going to be a very key factor. So how the way the businesses are done, things are done, it is going to undergo a change. And in my opinion, it's going to come quite rapidly. I would say in the next 5-6 years, you would see a very rapid change coming up in the systems. Internet of Things also is very, you see, at the end of the day, sometimes a very good phrase I use is Majburi ka naam Mahatma Gandhi. The demonetization has taken place. And today, if you look at all these e-wallets and e-mobile payments, they are catching on very fast. Just the other day, today morning, afternoon, I was talking to a friend of mine. He had gone to Mathura, and he was saying every time he used to pay, buy some prasad for 51 rupees, he said, I don't have cash. He said, sir, Paytm chalega. He went to the flower fellow, ek haar liya, 15 rupees, Paytm chalega. So it's not so difficult. India has a vast reach, so sometimes, certain thing which is forced upon us generates something else. So that's going to be the order of the day. And Mr. Vineet Talwar, my colleague here, would, on the dais, would now give you a presentation of what the Smart Factory is about. They have been present in multiple countries. They're a global company, a major business in Europe, US, and now in India also they are catching on. And I'm sure you would learn a lot and take home some value post this session. Thank you very much.